Welcome to Speak English Clearly through podcasts.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Speak English Clearly. Through podcasts, your ultimate guide to mastering English and boosting your confidence. I'm Emma, and with me, as always, is my brilliant co-host, James. James, how are you feeling today?
Hey Emma, I'm doing fantastic, full of energy, and really excited to tackle today's topic. What about you?
I'm doing great too. You know, James, I was thinking about our community of English learners yesterday, and it hit me how incredibly dedicated everyone is. Yet, sometimes, despite all that effort, progress seems to slow down, or even stop, completely.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean, Emma. It's like hitting a wall, right? You put in the hours, you study, but then you wonder, am I doing something wrong? Why isn't it clicking? I've definitely felt that frustration myself.
Absolutely. And that's what we want to talk about today. We've noticed some common patterns, some big mistakes that many English learners unintentionally make that can really slow down their progress or even stop it altogether.
That's right. These aren't necessarily bad habits, but rather common traps that learners fall into. And the good news is, once you recognize them, you can easily fix them.
And that's when it clicked for me. Learning English is a journey, and sometimes we hit these roadblocks that aren't about lack of effort, but about the approach we're taking. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. The biggest mistakes that actually stop you from learning English, and more importantly, how to overcome them.
And before we jump into breaking down these common traps, we have something truly special for all of you. We've put together a free PDF guide that's absolutely packed with practical exercises to help you tackle each of these mistakes head on. It includes key takeaways from today's discussion, thought-provoking questions to solidify your understanding, and even targeted grammar exercises to build real confidence in your English skills.
And that's not all. We're also weaving in some super useful intermediate level vocabulary throughout today's episode.
That's right, and we'll take a closer look at them later in Miles's vocabulary segment, where Miles will break down those words and phrases, explain their meaning, and show you exactly how to use them in everyday conversations.
So, stick around. By the end of this episode, not only will you have a clear understanding of what might be holding your English back, but you'll also have concrete, actionable steps to fix those issues, plus new vocabulary to help you express yourself even better. Get ready to unlock your English learning potential.
You know, Emma, thinking about what we just talked about, how promising it is to identify these roadblocks, it makes me wonder why so many English learners struggle with something as fundamental as actually speaking.
That's a great question, James. Speaking English sounds exciting, right? Using your voice, connecting with people. But here's the truth. Most people never actually speak as much as they should. Why? Because of the fear of speaking trap. Let's talk about the common reasons people feel stuck and silent.
Yeah, first, there's the fear of making mistakes. Many people ask, what if I try and sound silly? Or, what if I can't find the right words? But what if you try and succeed, even a little bit? Every fluent speaker has made countless mistakes along the way. The difference is they kept speaking.
Exactly. The second reason is overthinking every word. Some people know what they want to say, but they hesitate, trying to translate perfectly in their head before speaking. They think they need a perfect sentence before opening their mouth.
And then there's negative self-talk, saying things like, my accent is terrible, or I'll never sound like a native speaker. These thoughts stop progress before it even begins. This trap feels productive because you think you're preparing, but really, you're just avoiding.
Finally, one of the biggest traps, waiting for confidence. People say, I'll start speaking when I feel ready, or when my grammar is perfect. But here's a secret. Confidence comes after action, not before. You gain confidence by speaking, not by waiting. Even native speakers make mistakes all the time.
That reminds me of when I was learning a new skill myself. I kept waiting for the perfect moment to perform, but that moment never came. Until I just took the first step, spoke a few imperfect sentences, and once I did, everything started falling into place.
That's a great point, James. And I remember feeling the same when I was learning to present in public. At first, I thought, I'm not good at this. But then I realized the only way to get better was to actually start practicing. So, our practical tip for changing this mindset: set a daily speaking goal, even if it's just 2 minutes of speaking to yourself or recording your voice.
Exactly. And that brings us to our key lesson: understanding that speaking is a skill that improves with practice, just like playing the piano. You wouldn't expect to play a song perfectly without touching the keys, right? So practice speaking on simple topics and create daily speaking opportunities, however small.
So, James, now that we've tackled the fear of speaking trap, the next big question is, why do so many learners get caught in the endless loop of grammar books?
That's where the grammar study trap comes in. People often think they need to memorize every single rule before they can speak or understand. They try to learn English like a computer, trying to process and apply rules in real time.
Yes, but think about how children learn grammar. They don't study conjugation tables. They absorb it naturally through listening and speaking. They prioritize communication over perfect grammar from day one.
Exactly. And that ties into how we actually use language. James Clear talks about how systems are more important than goals. Focusing solely on isolated grammar rules without a system for applying them in conversation can be counterproductive.
Right. Like endlessly studying verb tenses without ever trying to use them in a sentence, or getting stuck on prepositions, believing you need to master them all at once.
And I love real-life examples. I know someone who became incredibly fluent in English without ever opening a grammar textbook, simply by immersing themselves in conversations and reading a lot. They learned grammar in context.
That's so inspiring. The takeaway here is, grammar is a tool for communication, not a destination in itself. So, if you're listening and wondering where to start, our practical tip is to focus on grammar for daily use, the structures you actually need to communicate common ideas.
Exactly. And you know, Emma, while understanding grammar is important, there's something even more fundamental. Knowing that even native speakers make grammar mistakes all the time. It's about effective communication. So, practice grammar through speaking and writing, not just by studying rules. Use it to express yourself, even if it's not perfect.
So, James, we've talked about the fear of speaking trap and the grammar study trap. Now, there's another huge obstacle that many learners face, especially in today's digital world: the comparison trap.
Yes, so many people believe they need to sound exactly like a native speaker, or they compare their progress to others they see online. But here's the truth: you are unique, and your learning journey is unique too. Social media often makes this worse by showing only perfect filtered versions of other people's progress, leading to a negative cycle of self-doubt.
Exactly. This trap leads to feelings of inadequacy, frustration, and eventually, giving up. When I was learning English, I constantly compared myself to friends who seemed to pick up new words faster. It was demotivating.
That's so relatable. But when you finally focused on your own path, what happened?
Well, Once I stopped comparing and started focusing on my own small wins, I realized how much progress I was actually making. Each new word I learned, each sentence I formed, felt like a genuine achievement. I wasn't trying to be someone else. I was just trying to be a better version of myself.
And that's the key. There's a concept I love. Focus on your own progress, not perfection. Too many people delay action because they want to be as good as someone else. But in reality, consistent personal growth is always better than chasing someone else's ideal. Our practical tip here: keep a progress journal. Just noting down what you learned or achieved each day, no matter how small, can be incredibly powerful.
Right. If you wait to be as good as, you'll never truly start your own journey. Whether it's learning English, starting a new skill, or making a big life change, just begin where you are. Small steps will lead to big improvements over time, unique to you. Remember, everyone has unique strengths.
So, here's a quick challenge for you, our listeners. Think of one way you might be falling into the comparison trap. Maybe you're watching too many advanced English speakers and feeling discouraged. And then, take one small step today to make personal success goals that are just for you. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Because focusing on your own path leads to genuine progress, and genuine progress leads to confidence.
That's right. Small, consistent actions over time create massive change. Now, there's one more big mistake we see: the passive learning trap.
Yes, so many people consume English content, watching movies, listening to podcasts, reading books, and think that's enough. And while that's part of it, they fall into the trap of passive learning, where it feels productive because you're exposed, but you're not actively engaging. It's like watching a cooking show and expecting to become a chef without ever stepping into a kitchen.
Absolutely. Passive learning often feels comfortable because it requires less effort, but real learning, especially for a language, requires active practice. It's about creating a balanced learning approach where you're not just taking information in, but also actively producing and interacting with it.
That's so true. So, how can we transform passive activities into active ones? Our first practical tip is the echo method. When you're listening to a podcast or a show, pause and repeat what you hear, focusing on pronunciation and intonation.
Right. And another great way is the summary method. After reading an article or watching a short video, try to summarize it in your own words, either by speaking aloud or writing it down. This forces your brain to process the information deeply.
Absolutely. And a crucial tip is to create active learning habits. Don't just listen, respond. Don't just read. Write about what you've read. Think of ways you can teach what you learned to someone else, even if it's just explaining it to yourself in the mirror.
That's a powerful one, James. When you teach, you solidify your own understanding. So, the takeaway here is: transform your passive activities into active ones. Don't just be a consumer. Be a creator and practitioner of English. This will make all the difference in turning your efforts into real fluency. And now, it is time for Miles's vocabulary segment, where Miles will break down complex words and phrases.
Hello, English learners. In today's episode, Emma and James have unpacked some really crucial traps that can stop you from learning English and how to overcome them. Let's take a closer look at some key vocabulary from our discussion and how you can use them in your real-life conversations. First up, trap means a situation that makes you do something you do not want to do or that prevents you from doing something. Example, many English learners fall into the grammar study trap, focusing too much on rules instead of speaking. Now, pause the episode and try to say it with me. Trap. Many English learners fall into the grammar study trap, focusing too much on rules instead of speaking. Next is overthink. Means to think about something too much, especially in a way that is not helpful. Example, don't overthink every word. It's better to just speak and make mistakes. Go ahead, pause here and practice saying overthink. Don't overthink every word. It's better to just speak and make mistakes. Then we have demotivating. Means making someone feel less enthusiastic or determined about something. Example, comparing your English to native speakers can be really demotivating if you're not careful. You can pause the audio right now and try repeating. Demotivating. Comparing your English to native speakers can be really demotivating if you're not careful. An important word when thinking about practice, consistent, means always acting or happening in the same way, doing something regularly. Example, making consistent daily efforts in speaking will lead to faster progress. Let's pause for a moment and practice saying consistent. Making consistent daily efforts in speaking will lead to faster progress. Next up, inadequacy means the state or quality of being inadequate, a lack of the qualities needed for something. Example, feelings of inadequacy often come from comparing your progress to others. Now, pause the episode and try to say it with me. Inadequacy. Feelings of inadequacy often come from comparing your progress to others. A great descriptive word, unintentional, means not done on purpose, accidental. Example, many learners make unintentional mistakes that actually slow down their English progress. Go ahead, pause here and practice saying unintentional. Many learners make unintentional mistakes that actually slow down their English progress. Then we have roadblock, means something that stops progress. Example, fear of speaking is a common roadblock for English learners that needs to be overcome. You can pause the audio right now and try repeating roadblock. Fear of speaking is a common roadblock for English learners that needs to be overcome. Finally, a concept about transforming learning. Transform means to make a thorough or dramatic change in the form, appearance, or character of something. Example, you can transform your passive learning into active practice with simple methods. Go ahead, pause here and practice saying transform. You can transform your passive learning into active practice with simple methods. That's it for today's vocabulary breakdown. Now, here's my challenge to you. Pick just one of these new words and try to use it 3 times in conversation today. Don't just learn them. Use them to make them a part of your everyday English. That's how you truly transform your vocabulary. Back to you, Emma and James.
Thank you, Miles. Those were some really useful words and phrases that directly tie into our discussion today.
So, Emma, if we had to leave our listeners with one key takeaway from today's episode about overcoming these English learning mistakes, what would it be?
I'd say it's this. You have more control over your English progress than you think. By understanding and avoiding these common traps, the fear of speaking, the grammar study obsession, the comparison trap, and passive learning, you can truly transform your journey.
That's so true. And remember, progress doesn't happen overnight, but every small step you take to actively engage and focus on your own unique journey gets you closer to fluency.
And don't forget to grab our free PDF guide for today's episode. It's packed with practical exercises and all the vocabulary we discussed to help you reinforce what you've learned. Also, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one mistake you're going to start fixing today? We'd love to hear your insights.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Let's keep growing together and overcome these English learning roadblocks. See you next time on Speak English Clearly through podcasts.
Your progress doesn't end here. To continue advancing your English skills, click on the next video or explore the additional videos we've thoughtfully selected for you.